Let us talk about how to prepare for CAT 2016 in last 3 months. Before that, let us try to understand what to expect from CAT 2016. As far as breakup of the question is concerned, CAT authorities have already announced that the pattern will remain more or less same like last year. So, you can expect 34 questions in verbal ability, 32 questions in DINAR, and again 34 questions in quantitative ability section. Dividing the 3-hour slot into equal duration of 1 hour each. So, verbal ability will also get 60 minutes, same is the case with other sections. Again, a breakup of MCQ versus non-MCQ questions can also be expected in the same lines as last year. Also, there will be a support of online calculator. Now, these are the basic expectation. As far as detailed expectation of verbal ability section is concerned, we have to look at last 2 to 3 years pattern. If we see, there has been a lot of stress on comprehension based question. Last year alone there was 5 to 6 passages consisting of 24 questions out of 34. That is a huge number. This can definitely be a deciding factor. These passages were divided into simple direct question based question and also dense as well as inference based questions. Most of the students faced problem in sustaining for 4 to 5 passages at a stretch, because till that time, that is till CAT 2014, there were at max 4 passages, and out of which most of the students used to skip 1 passage. So, they had the habit of attempting at the most 3 passages at a time in a stretch. Now, that is where a lot of students faces trouble last year. This year you can concentrate on stretching yourself to 4 or 5 passages at a time. In non-RC based question, there were questions based on parajumbles, logical discontinuation, this were the 2 standard questions. 1 or 2 critical reasoning based questions can also be expected. Among non-MCQ question, it is very obvious RC questions cannot be based on non-MCQ, they have to be MCQ questions. So, parajumble, logical discontinuation and critical reasoning is the only option left for non-MCQ. Again, if we look at the last year's pattern, it was technically you can say a non-MCQ questions, but otherwise the combinations were given to you, except for the cases where you had to type sequence of parajumble. That is the only catch. A lot of students took a risk because there was no. This year we can be slightly better prepared for the same. DI and AR section, which was the most troubling section last year, let us see what is there on the cards this year. But what we can expect is, out of 32 questions, you can definitely expect 16 standard questions. Rest of the 16 questions, which can be divided into 4 sets, can be slightly on the experimental side. As far as quant is concerned, there will be no surprises. It has been consistent enough since last 4 to 5 years now. So, all you have to do is revise on each and every chapter. Just ensure if you want to be on the higher side of percentile, do not miss out on any chapter. As far as preparation is concerned, let us first talk about verbal ability and reading comprehension section. As mentioned earlier, there were 4 to 5 passages. Now, this gives an opportunity for them to experiment with variety. So, you can expect questions or passages based on literature, economics, psychology, philosophy, environment, or maybe another social concern. So, as far as preparation is concerned, the first thing that you need to take care is the exposure, the variety of content that you are reading. If you are missing out on variety, it will be very difficult for you to sustain for 4 to 5 passages. So, variety is one thing. Second, you will have to go for sprints. As I just mentioned, out of 60 minutes, you will be spending almost 50 minutes in reading comprehension. So, sustaining for 50 minutes is very difficult. Not everybody is able to do that. Getting into that, it's very similar to what marathon is. If you are not running 10 to 15 kilometers every day, you cannot sustain for 21 or 42 kilometers on the day of actual marathon. So, similarly, you will have to start with sprints. So, when I say sprint, try to attempt 5 different passages every day at a stretch. So, give a stretch of 50 to maybe say 60 minutes every day. Keep it till say maybe October end. From November onwards, you should switch the gear and try to have 2 such sprints a day. So, maybe 1 such sprint of 5 passages in the morning and 1 such sprint in the evening. This will help you build the concentration which will be required on the day of CAT. As far as application based questions are concerned, that is parajumble, logical discontinuity, critical reasoning, the approach will be completely opposite. Here I am not asking you to go for sprints and practice volumes of questions. Here the approach will be completely different. Here you select 15 to 20 questions a day, but ensure that you discuss with your concerned mentor on daily basis. Approach is the most important aspect in such question, and it is not about quantum of practice. So even if you are practicing 10 questions a day, I am perfectly fine, as long as you are analyzing, understanding why you got it correct or why you got it incorrect. Overall, verbal ability section will demand a good amount of attempts. It is not just out of peer pressure, but it is out of the level of difficulty and the type of questions which will induce you to attempt more question. But at the same time, you have to ensure that you maintain a good amount of accuracy, because verbal ability scores generally deviate so high. There are 99 percentile but end up getting 90 percentile and vice versa. So ensure that you are not falling on accuracy rate. Next is your DI ARLR section, the most dreaded section if you go by the observation of last year. But there has always been such section after every 4-5 years. Remember CAT 2005? What happened in CAT 2005? That was the shocker to most of the students, and at that point of time there was not much material available for preparation. But what a wise student will do, he will just identify the right sets, go over it all out and attempt with high accuracy. That happened in last year's DI sets also. There were students who attempted just 14 to 16 questions with high accuracy, and they have scored very good percentile. So I am not saying you can expect same level of difficulty or similar questions this year, but you have to be prepared for both the surprises. It can be very easy or it can be really tough. What we observed in last 2-3 years is there were standard set of questions based on arrangements, puzzles or mixed graphs like line and pie chart combined, or a table and a line graph combined. Now these standard sets, if taken very carefully and with patience, can fetch you 100% marks. So ensure that you identify those 3 to 4 sets which are very standard in nature, go for it, attempt it, and thus ensure that you are reaching on a bare minimum scale of score. Very similar approach to what you used to take it during board exams. We first used to attempt questions which we were really sure of. This ensured us that okay, we are passing in this exam, we are not failing. So similar approach can help you in DI and LR. As far as preparation is concerned, you can pick up the structured data structured analysis type of question based on games, question based on sports. These are the questions which are more likely to be asked this year. It is said in CAT preparation language that 5 sets of a DI per day keeps the fear of DI away. Lastly, quantitative ability section, section which has been most consistent and really easy to score since last 2-3 years. Traditionally, they have tried to cover almost all varieties of question, and level of difficulty has not been that high so far. So what we can expect is a good student can end up attempting somewhere around 32 to 33 questions out of 34 questions, and an average student will also end up attempting somewhere around 22 to 23 questions. So this gives sufficient scope of preparation. So when I say a good variety of question, there will be almost each and every chapter covered. So if you have missed out on couple of chapters, you still have time. You can work out on those chapters in the month of September and October, and you can revise it in the last month, that is November, in order to cover up almost all the area of preparation. Another avenue which you need to cover is the usage of online calculator. Till last year, there were a lot of skepticism. People were not really positive about using online calculator. At the same time, they were not even prepared. This year the case is different. People know what online calculator is like, they are into habit of using such a software during their mocks. So I don't think so there should be any guilt of using an online calculator. There will be a lot of smart math kids who would feel that why should they use online calculator, but there will be areas, there will be questions, especially those non-MCQ questions where you will need a precise answer, and during those time it is completely fair to use online calculator. Overall, we can say verbal ability and quantitative ability, both these sections can be really high attempt and high accuracy kind of sections, whereas DILR AR can be normal attempt but very high accuracy kind of a paper, because this can be a decider. As far as number of attempts is concerned, 99 percentiler should look somewhere between 26 to 30 attempts in verbal, somewhere between 20 to 25 in DI, and somewhere between 26 to 32 in quant. And student expecting somewhere between 90 to 95 percentile can discount 5 questions in each of this section in order to arrive at a comfortable score. Wishing you all the best. Happy CAT preparation.